Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Shannon Speaks. I'm talking today about social inequality, social injustice. This is part 2 of my 3-part series, Unpopular Opinion, blank in social justice issues. Last week I posted blank, it was white people in social justice issues, and that situation really needs to be addressed. Thank you for all of the response I got on that video. I think that it's a really helpful video because I think a lot of people don't know what to do. And I think a lot of Black people feel like this and actually don't say it. Like, we go to work with these people, we go to church with people, we worship, we go do groceries, we go to school, we have friends. Sometimes they're close friends, they're the godparents of our children, X, Y, and Z, and sometimes they're not speaking up on social injustice issues concerning Black people, and that can be a little frustrating because it's like, so do you love me or not? Because I don't understand. By the way, big ups if you like, put a little like if you like the head wrap situation, the head wrap ting, you know what I'm saying, like a ting, because we're talking about pro-Blackness, so affordable head tie. Even though this is not an African print head tie, it's still nice and it's still cultural because of the way I tied it. So anyways, so continuing. Today is part 2, and the blank, as you can tell from the title, is Dear Black People in relation to social injustice issues. And so I want to talk directly to my peeps, my folks. I love y'all. It's all love. Hold up. So I put on a little jean because I wasn't feeling the white, you know what I'm saying? But it's not only that I wasn't feeling the white, I feel like jeans just more grunge, we're getting into some serious material. I need to put on a jacket because it might be a little chilly, because I'm gonna be throwing, not shade, I'm not gonna be throwing shade, I'm just gonna be talking about some stuff. Okay, so first of all, I want to start by saying I love you guys. You guys are me, I am you, we are one, okay? I think that there is healthy and unhealthy ways to react to things that happen that are, ridiculous. I'm not going to be using much political talk in this video, just because I'm just going to kind of word vomit because it's a little stressful situation. So last week, Ahmaud Arbery got shot, right? Running. Or when this video posted, it's going to be like about 2 to 3 weeks or so. After this happened, though, the day after, I was like, I just need to detox from social media because I was like, I don't want to see anything in relationship to this situation because I don't want to get triggered, to be honest. I didn't want to get triggered. It's really hard being a Black person and hearing about stuff like this, constant crimes that are being committed to Black people, and not feel no type of way towards white people. That's just honest truth. I love God, I love Jesus, and I have bare white friends, bare white family, and I still have to stop myself from getting triggered. Yo, why you people can't just let us live? I don't understand what your damage is. What is your actual sickness? Racism is actually a sickness. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me, it is a sickness of the heart. But as I mentioned last week, there was a really good quote from Martin Luther King that I love, and the quote essentially is saying darkness cannot expel darkness, you need light to do that, and hate cannot get rid of hate, you need love to do that. And I do believe that hate is not the answer. So if you're a Black person and when these things happen, it makes you want to hate white people, hate is not going to solve anything. I do not think that white people, and I'm not talking about the ones that actually shoot us, but I'm talking about, again, the ones that you go to church with, the ones that you do groceries with, the ones that, are your close friends, we live in Canada, it's not the same over here. It doesn't mean that racism does not exist. It means, I think that, especially Canadians, they don't think that racism happens here. I don't think they understand that it's real and that there are social inequalities and that there are inequalities embedded in a lot of our systems, our public systems, that they're not willing to address because they don't see it, because it's not blatant, and it's our job to show them that it is there. And as a Black person, if you're not speaking, then you're doing yourself and your brethren an injustice, because they're not going to know it's there if you don't tell them. Because the reality is, when something is not happening to you, oftentimes it goes unnoticed and under the radar. That's just the reality. We tend to be very selfish. We tend to be very inward going, you know what I'm saying? I spoke about this on a live that I did a couple of weeks ago with a friend of mine, Jade. We do this live chat every Saturday at 7 on our Instagrams, so go check it out. But the last time we spoke about, this, like how white people deal with social inequalities and social injustices and their silence, and one of the things that came up is definitely, people tend to do this thing where they start focusing on themselves. You start focusing on, my life, bettering my life, because I think we all have, I definitely believe that we all have an inner shame, an inner rejection, an inner frustration, and we're all just trying to get to a place in life where we can be satisfied and where we can be happy, and we don't really want to sacrifice achieving that goal for coming out of place and helping someone else. We're just focused on our plot of grass, our own life, our own situation. And I think selfishness is one of the biggest diseases of our modern day society. I think that selfishness is the cause for a lot of social inequalities, and I think that selfishness is the reason for a lot of Black silence as well. Not only white silence, because Black people can be silent too. There's three main points that I want to address. So Black on Black crime, I can't change anything, and I don't feel anything. And when it comes to I don't feel anything, I was also having a conversation. I was telling someone, numbness, emotional numbness at this point is like an anesthetic for Black pain. Like, how much can we feel? How much frustration can we have before it's like, Doc, I don't know what to do anymore, so I just can't afford to feel anything. I think that that is a beautiful mess to be in, because that means you cared so much that you had to stop caring at some point, which means that you can still go back. You can still go back to a place where you care. And I think that it's important, and I think the only way that we can go back to that place is by understanding that you have power. And I know you don't feel like you have power. I know that you don't feel like you have a voice. I know you feel like no one can hear you. I know you feel like it doesn't matter how much you complain, it's not changing anything. But you have to keep yelling. I have a crazy visual of a person in the trunk, and they're in the trunk and they're screaming for their life. They don't know if anyone can hear them. They don't know if anyone's around. They just know they're stuck in this trunk and they need someone to unlock the door. And the minute that they stop yelling is the minute that they stop giving themselves an opportunity to be rescued. And I think that's really important, because we have to keep yelling. We have to keep yelling until somebody hears. And it might not be white people that hear. Maybe it's going to be someone who's Black that can hear. Someone who, maybe our voices yelling will invoke some people, some Black people or people of color that have social currency, that have the money, even if they might not have the white representation, they have the money to back certain things, to do certain things. If we don't keep yelling, then we fall to the demise of the system that have put us in the place that we are already. If I don't keep talking about it, then I will become numb to the systems and I might fall privy to them. As long as I keep talking about it, it stays in my face. I don't care if slavery was how many years ago and it's over, and you know what I mean? I'm not American, I'm Caribbean and African by descent, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm Black. So the Black experience is my experience. It doesn't matter what part of the diaspora I'm from. And so if I stop talking about it, then I can end up falling into systems of silence, systems of inequality. I might start settling for certain things because I think that that's all I can have, when it's not that it's all that I have. It's just where I started. We're starting from a certain point, you know what I mean? And we can't settle. And if we forget where we're coming from, if we forget all that history, you might not have come off a boat, but generations, if you're Caribbean, you came off a boat, all right? Straight up. So it's like, if you don't keep talking, you're gonna forget that you have a loyalty, you have a heritage that you owe. Someone fought to stay alive, and that seed or that womb allowed you to exist now, and you have to do right by that seed and that womb because they survived. So you have to survive to bring justice to the people that brought you here. So even if you're frustrated, you can't stop pushing and you can't stop talking. You can't just start settling like, oh, they're just killing us. Well, nothing's going to change, so I'm not going to talk about it. What are you talking about? Like, that could have been you. That could have been me. We don't just stop talking because we're tired. And that doesn't mean you're not allowed to be tired. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to be frustrated. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to take a moment. Take your moment and do something about it after. Take a moment, but when you pull yourself together, do something. This is not one of those situations where it's like, oh, it's okay to not be okay and not do anything. Like, for how long? For how long will you be okay and not do anything? For how long will you settle? Like, for how long? Like, will you operate in lack of excellence, and will you operate in like not achieving and being okay with mediocre? Like, what? For how long? Like, how are you okay with living at a lower standard than people generations before you were living at? How are you okay with that? Like, that might come off judgmental, and I know we all have different situations, the reason why we're in places where we are right now. You don't have to be the richest person, you don't even have to be the most accomplished person, but don't let yourself become what they told us that we were gonna become. Like, yeah, I might not have a lot of money, but I know I'm a queen, and I'm gonna act as such, even though I'm in a situation. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's the mentality that drives me nuts. But anyways, next, addressing black on black crime. Okay, I know people say, oh, well, you know what I mean? Like, why are we getting mad when white people kill us, when we kill ourselves every day in the hood and blah, 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 blah. No, like, just because black people kill black people doesn't give white people a right to kill white people. Killing is wrong, regardless, okay? Whether white people do it or black people do it, and make it right. So we're not just gonna say because black people do it, then white people can do it. Or because I do it, then it's okay if you... No! Okay? You're both wrong. You both need to get it together. So I'm gonna talk to both of y'all. Stop killing each other. Alright? And they need to stop killing us. The difference is, though, let me tell you what the difference is when it comes to inner community killing and outside of community killing. The difference is there's a trajectory of trauma and learned behaviors and survival tactics that have descended from times, okay? And if you don't acknowledge that, you're just not spitting facts. Like, you can't say, oh, you shouldn't be like that if you don't know where I came from. There is a history, and I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's a continual excuse, but there is a reason. It does come from a place. Now, we can't keep using that as an excuse to keep killing people, but we can use that as an understanding of why people end up in situations where they're doing things and have exhibiting behaviors that are clearly self-destructive. Okay? There is a lot of inherent and learned, okay, hatred for the self when it comes to black people. They didn't have to break our communities. They just had to keep breaking the way we thought about ourselves, and we would do it for ourselves, okay? That's the reality. I saw something the other day that was talking about how, like, PTSD takes years of therapy. Years. Now, people that live in situations or in communities where there's a lot of gang violence and there's a lot of drug abuse and all of these things, if you look at where they're coming from, then you could understand, wow, that's a lot of trauma. Like, can we address that trauma? People that come out of prison, they're not getting therapy. People that seen people that they love get shot, they're not getting therapy. They're reacting, okay? You shot me, you shot my family member, I'm gonna shoot you. They're reacting. There's no moment in there for retribution. There's no moment in there for healing. There's no moment in there for thinking. Okay, this is not, you understand? So we need to, if you're angry with that cycle, then we need to implicate another cycle. And to implicate another cycle, we're gonna have to give grace. We're gonna have to be patient, and we're gonna have to actually do something and actually work on it. Are you doing anything but complaining? No. So stop talking about black on black crime. Next. Well, I don't have any more points on such. So I guess that's all I wanted to talk about. I had mentioned black on black crime, I had mentioned black silence, and I had mentioned black numbness. I have a lot more thoughts. These are just snippets of my thoughts because I'm trying to get things off my chest. If you agree, if you disagree, put it in the comment section. Don't be disrespectful. We don't like that energy. If you found something useful, share it. If you like something I said, talk about it. You know what I mean? Hit me up. in the comment section. I'm gonna reply. I read the comments, and be nice because it's nice. This is Shannon Speaks. You don't know what it is. You already know the vibes. You already know what you come here to hear. You already know you came here to see a pretty face and some smart and wise words. You know what it is. I'm not perfect. All my opinions, there might be some holes in them, but I'm just telling y'all how I feel. This is what I'm thinking. Okay, we can have a conversation about it later. You know what I mean? Come back for part 3 next week. I'm going to be addressing the church.